Getting leads in the hotel, accommodation, travel space is tough. I'm working on the third rebuild on a campaign that's been with me since 2017. Wow. I was going to say almost 10 years, but in a year it might be almost 10 years. But this is I guess a local city campaign in a non-major city, so still population of about 500,000, so quite competitive. And so forever we've always been up against the big giants like the hotel chains. B came along, Booking.com came along, Trivago came along, and each time they built our city page, because it is in the top 10 major cities of Australia, a lot of population, it means the giants like the hotel branches will build those city pages, especially if they have a hotel in that city. But what we did very early on, back in 2017, is I said, look, we can forget about paying money to Google for the term accommodation, or hotel, or hostel, or anything like that. Because that was one of the first things I looked at, is their keyword targeting and their campaign. And they would just, it was a typical Google ad account with like 100 keywords thrown in, and you may as well just be targeting all the keywords in the dictionary. So the first thing I did is I said, look, let's look at our bread and butter. What are our best clients that bring us less stress, more profit, sort of bread and butter. And that was long-term accommodation. Okay, so I guess more of a long tail keyword, but also our unique selling ISP, USP, whatever it is, was that it's a service department, like an Airbnb before Airbnb existed, and their bread and butter were tradies or people on work that need to stay at home, like accommodation, long-term accommodation. So we gunned for those keywords early on. So back in 2017, one of the first things I did is I rebuilt the website to be somewhat SEO optimized. It was a really poor build, which had no targeting, no service pages, but basically it was just the brand. It didn't have any words on it to help Google decide what we wanted to rank for. So 2017, I slapped up about 10 service pages. Back then, keyword cannibalization wasn't as dominant, so I literally built out pages on long-term accommodation, service departments, plus town, short-term rentals. So every single keyword got its own page, and that worked for a long time. These days, you would place all of those keywords on the one sales page, because the intent is more or less the same. And I then went to town on, over the last X amount of years, we published about 200 blogs on the town, the local things to do around the town, the best fishing locations, the best restaurants, because we wanted for Google and the search engines to trust that we were the better answer for anything to do with that town and accommodation. So unlike what the giants can do, they can't put a blog on their site about the best places to go fishing in Ballarat, hypothetically, or Geelong, or somewhere else. But we can. So I ended up building, and this is how I accidentally fell into the art and the workflows of building listicle directories, is I initially built them out to make my websites geo-relevant, right? So someone that is looking for accommodation with pets, for example, might be looking for a dog park in the area. So I did a listicle directory on all the dog parks in the area, and I made like filters of if they have fencing, not fencing, that kind of stuff. I then started to sidestep into local cafes, local restaurants, Thai restaurants, and so what ended up happening is the site every single month just grew. Now it's 2025, we are rebuilding the website again. What's changed now is those hundreds of guide-like blogs on how to choose long-term accommodation, the difference between it, all that kind of stuff. AI has plagiarized my content and it's now spitting out the regurgitated version of it. So this particular build is a little bit different. We have compressed a lot of the blogs and articles that are mulling over the same topics. So what we did, we combined them, completely rewrote them, added as much flavor as we possibly can, added a lot of geo-relevance, added tone from a unique rider's perspective, like the business owner's perspective. That's about as good as that game of cat and mouse will work. And what will likely happen, and is happening right now, is we will still be the best blog on that kind in that particular town. Hopefully we get some traffic, but I know we'll get the respect from Google because they commonly citing my article. So from a blog perspective, that's what we do. From a geo-relevant perspective, we still have those listicle type posts on where to do for this, where to go for that, almost like an internal guide. What's interesting is the people staying at these hotels are using my website as a bit of a guide on what to do, where to eat, what to go. So proving ourselves trustworthy on that topic. What we're doing now that's different to before we were keeping the listings hidden. You couldn't actually find where you are staying because these are residential sort of self-contained units. The security of these units was always important. What we ended up doing, we ended up signing up with the likes of Booking, Airbnb and all of the platforms, because traffic diversification is a must, and I stressed that to the client a long time ago. After running that business for many years without needing to use those booking platforms, it's a necessary evil. It does mean that they take a bit of a commission, however it brings them more attention, and it brings the site more attention from those websites, which is a must. So that sort of, it must be done, but obviously it's in our interest to take the booking without them going through booking.com or Trivago or TripAdvisor or whatnot, Airbnb. So what we ended up doing is we're building out dedicated listing pages that have a gallery of the apartment, that have all of the unique factors, pet friendly, not pet friendly and stuff like that. Can you smoke, etc. We're building them out in a way where each page is like a geo-relevant page to Google. So it's going to have the street name and the suburb, which will help with local SEO rankings. We're also picking up Google listings, but it's just not clear which is the apartment, which is which. So for the security of the people staying there, etc. If people in a legal space or they just want a bit more privacy. So we're building out that infrastructure in WordPress where I'm using custom post types to create the fields so the client can load up their images, load up their descriptions. I do this for a lot of clients, for example, in the music tutoring space. Music tutors come and go, or English tutoring, maths tutoring, and they want to update the Teams page with their listings, with their history, their education, stuff like that. So we use WordPress's custom post types, and we use Beaver Thema, which is a tool for construction of, it's a page builder for WordPress, to create these custom pages. Once we create one template page, one custom theme, it's just easy to fill out the price, how many bedrooms, how many people can stay there, and it makes those pages look beautiful. We no longer, and very thankfully, need to run Google ads, very expensive in this space, and we were only ever bidding on really hyper niche exact match keywords, and we no longer need to run Facebook ads. They were just more about the brand, because the business is now existed more than 10 years, has got some really good brand and people coming back, especially ones that are tradies in the construction space or legal space, and they're going up there to work. They're just coming back because this is like your place away from home, your home away from home. As always, I have sent a bunch of interview questions to the business owner and people that work there. They've come back with long, detailed descriptions about their experience, why they do, what they love doing about what they're doing, how do they provide this level of care, and all of this stuff falls into the EEAT buckets: expertise, experience, trust, and authority, and that helps our website be more trusted and seem as a high authority than our competitors. This is always a game of outrunning the competitors, doing better than our competitors. Big monster sites like Airbnb and things can squash us down in the organics for that city page, but locally we will always be the more relevant answer, and that's the goal.